So welcome to another episode of Etoro for Beginners, and today we're going to talk about watch lists. And I know this is a very boring subject, but I feel there's a lot of key features that people are missing out on eToro when it comes to using watch lists correctly. So in this video, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks that I feel you should be applying to your eToro account on a daily basis. Now, before we move on, as always, if you could do me the kind favor of making sure that like button is turned blue, it would greatly help me out with the YouTube gods. And if you have not signed up with Etoro already, do so via the link on the pinned comment, deposit and make a trade, and you get lifetime access to the LWT eToro chat room. In the chat room itself, we have all levels of investors and traders, so if you're interested in joining the community, again, sign up via the link on the pinned comment. Now, before we jump over to the computer, let's talk about why watch lists are important. Now, it's pretty self-explanatory what they are. It's stocks you're watching on a list. But I think a lot of people get this one mixed up because they add stocks they're already invested in. Etoro allows you to add, I think it's 50 stocks to a watch list, and then your pile can get sort of overbalanced. If you have a stock that you're already invested in my opinion, I don't think you need to add it to your watch list. For me on Etoro, my watch list is solely for stocks that I am not yet invested in, and as soon as I am invested in, I'm watching them more closely via the portfolio tab, but more on that later. Now, if we do jump over to the computer, usually you will see here that in your watch lists, when you first open it, especially if it's a new account, you'll have some dribble or drabble on there that Etoro already gives to you. This could be Tesla, it could be AMC, it could be SPY. I believe that they do add random stocks at times as well, but in my opinion, just delete them, just take them off the list and start a complete fresh. Now, the first thing I think you should do is you should add something called the SPY, the SPDR S&P 500 ETF. Now, why is this important? Well, first, let's go and add it, and all you have to do is just basically click the plus. This is basically the S&P 500 in an ETF form. If you don't know what the S&P 500 is, it's basically the 500 largest cap companies in the US. Now, this is a very easy way of judging if the stock market is having a good day, a bad day, a good month, or a bad month, because most stocks tend to follow the market. So if we add the S&P 500 or the SPY, we can see if we click 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, we can see that in the last trading day, it's currently a bank holiday, that the SPY was pretty much flat. Over a week, it's up about 0.6%, and over a month, it's 0.3 as well. We then have these things here like the sells and buys. If you want to actually buy the ticker, you can do it very quickly by, clicking the B. It'll open a buy order, but I don't really like using that personally. We then have the 52-week range, which shows you the lows from the last year and the highs. And we have the sentiment. We can see that 99% of people on Etoro are bullish on this ticker, but that doesn't mean you should go ahead and buy it. Do your own research. Now, another feature here is you could set price alert, but I'll come onto that in just a second. And that is basically the first thing I think you should always add to your stock portfolio to get yourself a sense of what the market is doing. For example, if you're invested into FANG stocks, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, and you see that they're all down 5%, but then you look at the overall market and realize it's down about 5% as well, then you can sort of sum it up to a market sell-off. But if Apple's down 10% and the whole market's up 2%, then it is probably just a problem with Apple and you need to go and find out what it is. I think this is the first thing you should have on your watch list. Now, the rest of it is really down to you. What stocks do you want to add? Now, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated because I'm going to add some of my personal stocks that I'm already invested in or looking to invest in. And just because they're on my watch list, to be clear, does not mean you should buy them. But I'm going to add companies that I do think are worth a little look. I'm going to add Foot Locker. I'm going to add one of my favorites, BP. I'm also going to add Rolls-Royce. And I'm also going to add, for the fun of it, Tesla. I'm also going to add Apple and another one. Let's add AMC Cinemas just for fun because the meme stocks are crazy. But that's basically how you add. So now you can see I've got a decent little watch list already built. And if I did like these stocks at certain prices, this is where it gets interesting. If you go to these 3 little buttons here on the end of any stock, let's say Foot Locker, if we click on them, we can set a price alert. So for example, we see Foot Locker is at $57 and I would love to get it at a discount at say $50, okay? So then what happens is if Foot Locker goes down to $50, I'll get a push notification saying Foot Locker is now at the price that you set an alert on. Now, this feature is massively undervalued, and I think every investor should be putting it on there. It's also a good way of putting a stop loss alert in For example, if you were in Foot Locker already and you didn't want to be in it at a massive loss, you could go in and put another price alert at, say, a percentage. If Foot Locker goes down 10%, for example, I don't want to be in this stock. You need to tell me so I can sell it. So now if Foot Locker goes down 10%, I'm going to get a push notification. So that is basically how you add some stocks to look at, but we're definitely not done here. There's something else I think you should do, and that is by adding people to follow. Now, there's a lot of decent traders on eToro, some that might also fit your narrative. So for example, if I go in here and type in LWT trading, you can see that my portfolio comes up here. Now, this is the Coffee to 100K challenge. If you're new to eToro and you want to just add $180 a month to a portfolio and hopefully one day reach 100K, which I'm pretty sure we will reach eventually, then you can go ahead and copy this person. But it's good for another reason as well. And that is, if you go onto any stock or any person, you'll see this little bar thing here. And if you click add to my watch list, it will also be added that way as well. So now if we go to my watch lists, you can see there's an alternative way of adding a stock or an individual person. Now, the reason why this is important, if we go down to discover people, for example, and let's say I want to look at somebody who is mainly investing into cryptocurrencies, okay, I can click go. And let's say I like this person here, 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐬𝐿, all right? Now, I actually know this investor. I know he's quite a decent investor too, but I'm going to go ahead and add him to my portfolio watch list as well. And we can see he's down there at the bottom. Now, why this is important is you can go on this person's profile and you can see what their thoughts are on any given stock. And I think this is vital, especially if you're a new investor. Now, if we go onto the newsfeed, this is why it's important. Our newsfeed will comprise of stocks that we are watching, or stocks or ETFs, or even people that have been tagged or put a post on. So everything on this feed should be relative to what I'm watching. Now, sometimes there is the anomaly that comes on. For example, if I'm looking at BP, there might be an article that comes out about Exxon, because in the article, BP is sort of mentioned there. But this is where it's good, because everything in there is what is on my watch list. So it's completely relevant to me, because if you just had a random newsfeed, it would be chaos, absolute chaos. So I feel that the newsfeed is a very undervalued feature, and this is why it's important, because if you have a watch list done correctly, it would massively help your newsfeed, and this way you can help make better decisions and maybe even find a good investment that isn't even on your radar. So that's why I feel watch lists are very important and very undervalued. If you could do me a kind favor and drop the comment down below eToro Watchlists, it would greatly help me out in terms of the YouTube algorithm. If you found this video beneficial, make sure you stick around for the next episode where we're going to go ahead and talk about copying portfolios. Again, another feature which I feel is massively misused in the eToro community. So make sure you have stroke that like button blue, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.